In this piano tutorial, I want to share a gospel chord movement that is very popular in gospel music, and we tend to hear it at the end of a song or at the end of a progression, right? So let's say we're playing a 2-5-1 progression in the key of C major. The movement would be at the end of that C, right? So it would sound something like this. We're playing the 2, 5, then the 1, and then this is the movement that we hear. Finishes, right? And if we think about this movement in its most basic way, all that we're doing is, since we're in C major, we play the C with our left hand, right? Then we play the next C 2 octaves up. So not this C, but the next one. And these two notes are always going to be pressed. So they sort of serve as a pedal point, right? So they stay pressed. And then the movement is actually going to be in between these two notes. And in its most basic way, we're playing the 7 and the 5th, right? So B and G, then the 6th and the 4th, so A and F, then the 4th and the 2nd, or the 4th and the 9th, if you want to think about it that way. And then we finally resolve into the 5th and the 3rd, or the 5th and the 10th, which is G and E, right? So in its most basic way, it's... And I like thinking about this movement sort of as a suspended chord movement, right? Because we sort of play a suspended 4th chord, right? We're sort of suspending it on the 4, then we suspend it on the 2, and then we finally resolve on the 1, right? C major. So that was the most basic way, but there's a couple of things that we can do to this movement to make it sound a little bit more colorful, right? There's a couple of embellishments, grace notes, and we can actually alter some of the notes as well. So one of the things that I like doing in this movement is playing a grace note from F to G, right? For that first chord that we play, right? When we play the 7 and the 5, instead of just going straight to that chord, I play a grace note from F to G, okay? So it sounds something like this. Right? We can also make it sort of a chromatic grace note, going from the F to the F sharp and then the G. So it would be something like this. And a way that I do this, right? If you can notice, my fingers are not actually playing this. I'm actually using my middle finger to slide from F sharp to G. So I play my index finger on F, then my middle finger on F sharp, and I slide it down to G. All right. Something else that I like doing is adding a middle C, right? Down here. So I'm actually playing all 3 C's. And the reason why I add it down here is to make sort of a dissonant sound between the C and the G, and the B, sorry. Right? We get that sort of major 7 sound. Now the next chord, remember, was A and F. And what I like doing is actually keeping the C and the G pressed as I play A and F. So then the next chord is F and D. So that one I keep the same. And then we resolve to G and E. And I also include a grace note from the D to the E. So I'll play it slowly once again. Right, so D, D, E. Right, right? So that's one of the ways that we can play this. We can actually substitute some of the notes in the left hand, and it would sound something like this. So I basically kept the B and G the same, the A and the F the same, but then instead of playing this F and D, I played an A flat or G sharp and D, okay? So, and then I resolved it onto the 1. Now, something good about this movement is that we can also play it on a minor chord. So let's say we're playing a C minor chord. All that we have to do is think about the notes or the numbers, but now in the minor scale, right? So we're doing everything diatonically. So the C minor scale, right? The first note was a 7 and a 5, right? After we press the pedal point notes, which are the outer C's. In this case, we're going to play a B flat, which is the 7 in the C minor scale, and G, so the 7 and the 5, then the 6 and the 4, right? A flat is the 6 in the C major scale, and then the 4th and the 2, and then the 5 and the 3. In this case, the 3 is E flat, right? Because it's a minor chord. So let's say we were ending a song in C minor. That would be a way that we can end it, okay? Let's go back into the major version of this movement. And there's actually a way that we can continue this movement to give it even more resolution, right? And it sounds something like this. Right? So right here, all I'm doing is playing around with this interval of 6, right? These notes that we're playing in between the two C's are all separated by an interval of 6. So after we finished that first half, I went down to the 3rd and the 1, right? So the 3rd or the 8th. Then I went down to the 2 and the 7. Then the 4 and the 9, or the 4 and the 2. And then I resolve it on the 3 and the 1. So all together. So in an example, same progression, 2,